Hi, guys. Welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy. Today, we're going to be talking about the Boone's Farm. I've been saying that in my head all day. Sarah Boone trial. I want to say Sarah Boone's Farm trial. Uh, but there is a major hurricane hurling towards us in Florida. So I'm not even sure if it's going to happen today or tomorrow or the next day. Sarah Boone might get another short reprieve. I've been trying to look all over the internet. I don't see that there's anybody in the courtroom streaming. There's no footage coming from the courtroom. So I'm going to roll some credits. And while I wait for the rest of the crew to roll in, and yeah, I'll try to figure out what's going on. Guys, welcome to Parawomen Radio. I'm Amy.
Carefully strumming this old guitar, words rolling out into the fire. Never ask why my heart burned blue. Here in the haze where you inspire me. Here in the darkness I hear my cue. Time to find some solitude. Here where my soul bleeds openly, deep in the heart of sin and you. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you. Here in the blue, I'm dancing with you tonight.
Okay, so we have a major hurricane coming straight for us, Milton. I'm not really sure how far we're going to get in this trial this week. It's coming for me. I'm right in its path. People say, why don't you just evacuate? Well, when people don't have anywhere to effing go, where do you evacuate to? So I'm a Michigan person, and give me snowstorms any day over these hurricanes. But Helene missed me, so perhaps Milton will do the same. Okay, so I have been looking around trying to. Hi, Carrie. I've been looking around trying to figure out this whole trial. I see nothing coming out of the courtroom. Um, I am going to try to look at other creators that are covering it and see if they have found any added info. Let me get my screen together, and we will start watching some of Sarah Boone's old stuff while we wait for it to come in session. Yeah, okay, so let me get my screen together, and away we'll go. How's everyone doing this morning? I walked down to the river and I saw 2 alligators, and I saw our family of what are those called? Cranes, some kind of crane, big cranes. There's 4 of them, and the moms died, and the dads took over, and it's a family of 4, a dad and its child, and another dad and its child. Okay. All right, let's go in and let me see if I can figure out what's going on. What are these people saying?
Arts. We will do a morning session, okay?
I'm just trying to figure out
And I personally,
what's going on.
sorry, you guys. Watching. I'm going to keep watching. Anyway.
It will be postponed until after the hurricane. Sarah, why are you delaying? Yeah, I really think it's going to be postponed, actually, you guys. Because it's supposed to hit sometime on Friday, Wednesday, and here we're in Monday, and things usually always shut down just before. But while I'm doing my little searchy poo, why don't I pull something up for you guys to watch? And I will figure it out for you. I've got a few things up. How about if we watch where it all started? This is Sarah Boone gets questioned by detectives after she calls the police. Because it helps if I give you some sound. Oh, there's no sound yet, so I'll get it forward.
So,
You could get all your guys out of there.
what's that?
You could get everything out of there.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're doing great.
Oh yes, thank you.
Everybody's covering it. I'm not sure how popular I'm gonna be. Everybody's covering it. But let me look. Let me see if I can go in and see what's going on. I have my clerk pulled up. Let me see if there's anything that's been posted to it.
Who pronounced?
Oh, right there.
Did you call it? What time did you call it?
I got a time for it.
Hello there. Hi. You live here?
Yes.
Okay, I'll talk to you. We gotta get some information
I
from the
know.
fire
That's
department.
the property manager. I don't know if I should go tell him really quick or
We'll
just so he
take
knows
care of
what's
that.
going on.
Where is he at?
And he wants that way.
Oh, don't worry about that. We'll take care of that for you, okay?
Can I go? I had a cigarette list.
I'll get it for you, okay? Wait 1 second, okay?
I really need something to drink.
Okay,
I got my Dr. Pepper on the counter.
okay, we'll take care of you. Give me 1 second.
It's Armand, yes.
Put the time that you called it.
Yeah, I put that right there.
Is that the time you called it? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
You can't go back inside. What's going on? Who is he to you? Boyfriend?
Yes, for like 3.5 years.
What happened?
We drank last night. We had a
Can you pass this to the around to the FD guys? Stop. They need to sign that for sure.
They're with me, so they're not.
Oh, they're not leaving?
I
Okay.
think I woke her up.
No. Each of them has to. So this might be a real scene. So each of them has to put their name.
Normally,
in it.
I just put everybody.
What's going on?
Sorry,
I just got here, so fill me in.
No problem. Like,
Yeah,
he and
I'm
I
sorry.
put the puzzle together.
I wish I could go somewhere. I have nowhere to
Yes, we
go.
have a puzzle that we
So
started in
I'm
there.
glad they're getting out.
Been doing
I'll be
art,
safe.
trying to take the stuff off the wall to make new art put up there, like having a good time with one another. But we're drinking. We had a bottle of wine last night.
Okay.
So then it's like we decided to play hide and seek, right?
Okay.
So he gets in the suitcase. Okay.
Who is this guy?
That's my ex-husband, my former husband.
How did he live here with you guys?
No, I called him over here.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
We were watching
I didn't know what to do.
a
So then he came over here.
Here, let's talk in private, okay?
I called you guys.
we were watching another channel, and they interviewed one of the neighbors, and they said that her ex-husband used to be really big and that he actually lived in that apartment with her for a while.
I tried giving him CPR. The problem is I fell asleep.
When did you do CPR?
This morning when I found it.
Before you called?
Yes.
It's 1 o'clock right now.
I tried. I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30ish, whatever. So I came downstairs and I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still. And that's when I found him and I took him out and I tried doing CPR and then I called him and then I called you guys.
Did he get here before the fire department got here?
Who?
Your husband or your
Yes.
ex-husband?
Yes.
Okay. Where does he live at?
down the street.
Okay. So you were playing and who zipped him up?
I did, but then I fell asleep.
Okay. So, you're okay. I wasn't here. I'm just trying to figure out what
I
happened.
fell asleep, so I don't know if he suffocated or like had an aneurysm or a heart attack or
What kind of medical conditions does he have?
None that I know of.
Nothing that you know of.
None
You
that I
didn't take
know
any
of.
medicine
No.
last night?
No.
No medicine.
All we had was a bottle of wine. Literally, just a bottle of wine.
Okay.
Doing puzzle artwork. Then we decided to play hide and seek.
Mhm.
That's all that happened.
Okay.
So I don't know if he had a heart
I'm
attack.
hanging out in I'm looking at another person's chat, and they're saying that someone called the court and they said they expect jury selection to take 2 to 3 days. I bet you they're getting a lot of phone calls today to see if it's going to be going on. I just typed in their chat to see if it's been called, if the hurricane is delaying it. Nobody's replying. So I don't think anyone really knows yet if it's been called. So I will continue to play this while I continue to search for you guys.
What in there? Like, I don't know what happened.
So how long were you doing CPR on him prior to you calling 911? You tried that all morning?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I called him while I was
What
doing
time
CPR.
did you start? Probably, give me a rough ballpark. Here, let me fill this deputy in, okay?
Please, may I have my Dr. Pepper? I am
Hold on,
so
one
cotton
second,
mouth
one
right
second.
now.
Ma'am, and you can't talk to him until we get done
Okay,
with
fine.
this, okay?
Just don't leave, okay, Brian?
Thank you, ma'am.
Well,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm getting Lucas.
I know.
Do me a favor. Stand over there by that car. Give me 1 second. Just give us a second, okay?
Somebody else on that call operation.
It's on the counter.
I can't remove anything from out of the house.
Like, I'm
Here, I want you to sit down because I don't want you passing out. This is probably a lot for you to deal
I
with,
need
right?
water.
Sit.
Ma'am,
I don't.
water. Just water.
I can get you some water, okay? Just I want you not on your feet because I don't want you passing out on me.
I need water.
Okay, I'll get some for you.
You're trying to Charlie, but you're on it.
Hey, how are you? Okay, so you don't live here in this house.
No. I live down in Lake Winona Cove down
Lake
there.
Winona Cove. Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of tell me how you came here today, or
Well, I've been calling.
come down here. We gotta talk.
I've been calling since.
You've been calling your ex-wife or current wife?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Ex-wife. We've
Okay.
been divorced about a year and a half. About 11:30 is when I started calling to find out because this is supposed to be her day. So, her child.
Okay.
She's generally not very good about always doing it. She tends to shrink.
They called back and said she was still there, or she came back.
So I was calling to find out if she was going to be getting him or not today.
From school.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I started calling like 11:30, called every half hour or so, and then
She was back inside the
I
lobby.
finally got a hold of her
I'll go
at
back to her.
12:49, which is when she told me what was going on and if I'd come over here. So I came over.
She called at 12:45.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or 12:49.
12:49.
Got over here, told her she needed to call 911, get somebody over here, and then basically she said she needed to go outside, have a drink and a cigarette. I walked back out the house because I didn't really want to
Who
be
called?
there.
Did you call or did she call?
Well, I called. She called me back when I was on my way to make sure I was coming over. But I called her
Give me 1
initially.
second, okay?
But I called her initially.
Do you have water in your car by any chance?
I don't think so.
Nothing?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Okay, so she called. You get over here.
I called her first.
Okay.
Trying to find out if she's going to get Lucas. That's what she told me everything was going on. I got my stuff together, put the puppy up in this crate. When I was starting to drive over here is when she called me to make sure I was coming. And then I got over here right after
Did you
that.
go inside and see and then?
I walked inside the front. I didn't see the little front tile area.
Come on, step this way.
I saw legs. I just didn't really want to get in there around it. So I told her.
Well, just for the sake of the crime scene, I want to know if I were to find your footprint, it would be because you went this far into the house. So did you actually make entry past the threshold?
I don't think I ever made it to the carpet. I think it was just in that.
Okay, so I have been doing some research looking about evacuation, and it doesn't look like Orange County. What county is she's in Orlando. What county is anyway, Manatee County, that's not where she is. Pasco County and Pinellas County, Sarasota County. Those have all been had the evacuation. I think court will probably continue to go on as long as they don't get the evacuation, but I'm sure it's going to be coming. And I don't even know where they evacuate people from the jail. Does anyone know where they probably don't evacuate, right? They just Sarasota, Pinellas. What county is well, it would be Orange County, wouldn't it? Has Orange County, Florida been evacuated? Let's do that. Because I went into some other people's chat and nobody's saying anything. Let me see. Ooh, this is gonna be the suck. At least I have water from the last one that I had to go through. As Hurricane Milton approaches Florida, prepare for the largest evacuation since 2017. Hurricane Irma. Major cities along Florida's 1-4 corridor are included in the forecast track for Milton, including Tampa and Orlando. I'm in Citrus County, by the way, if you're wondering. Florida's emergency management officials say the storm will likely lead to evacuations on a scale not seen in Florida since 2017 for Hurricane Irma. Here's the thing. Half of us don't have anywhere to go. I have nowhere to go. Hurricane Milton's forecast to remain major hurricane before making landfall on Florida. I did watch some stuff last night that said that, Orange County. I did hear some stuff that by the time it hits land, it's only going to be a 3 instead of a 4. I don't know. I'll stay as safe as I can. It's just like when I didn't live around hurricanes, I always thought to myself, why don't people just evacuate? But when you have no means to evacuate, it's not that simple. And when you have nowhere to go, it's just not that simple. Hi, Pauline. I'm just trying to figure out if we're going to have court today. So why don't I just I don't know what to do. I can't seem to figure it out. I've got so many things pulled up, and has anyone around your travels on the internet, have you heard anything? Have you figured out what's going on? Can you shed some light for me, because I'm starting to get a little irritated by it. Why can't I figure it out? The judge said 9 a.m. sharp. It's 9:21 sharp. Where are ya? Give us some information, please. Oh, wait. Is this something? No, this is old something. You're in Pasco County. I have to ride out the storm. I have no place to go either. You're with me, Terra Abnormal, then. Terra Normal, I mean. Yeah. I think a lot of us are just going to have to ride it out because it's a big storm. It was the same with Helen. It was like a big storm, and hopefully it'll just... Milton will calm his little butt down before he hits land, and we'll be all good. Let me I'll let some of I'm going to continue to search to see what's going on. Actually, you know what? Let's go into somebody else's who's covering it and see if I can't figure it out that way. I can't seem to do it because I can't put the volume on when I play a video for you. So I can't listen to what they're saying. So let me take
regard for human life whatsoever. Florida state law permits the prosecution of second-degree murder when killing lacked premeditation or planning. But so even though it lacked premeditation or planning, the defendant must have acted with enmity, is their magic word, enmity towards the victim, or hatred or anger towards the victim, or the two had an ongoing interaction or relationship. Unlike first-degree murder, second-degree murder does not necessarily require proof that the defendant intended to kill the victim. It just has to show that there was problems, there was anger, and the defendant acted with a depraved mind without regard for human life. So all of her arguments that, well, it wasn't intentional, I didn't intend him to die, it doesn't really matter in the prosecution of second-degree murder. So as much as she thought that somehow saying the magic words, I didn't intend to do this,
courthouse to see
is going to get her off. It doesn't.
I'm irritated.
In fact, it makes the
I got a little irritation going on this
job
morning
much easier
because
they just have to show these two things. And she admitted basically, I was angry at him, but even though I had a good time that day, he was abusive towards me, and I zipped him up in the suitcase. Now she also said, but I left some holes in there, so he could have opened it with his finger. He could have stuck his fingers out and opened it. Well, the cop's like, well, if he could have done that rather than suffocate to death, why didn't he do it? And she couldn't really answer that question, so she got arrested. She got arrested. Oh yes, there will be bingo cards for the trial, people. And if you're new to the trial stream here, we got 1,183 of you here, and we got 649 likes already. That is super.
You have all of these deputies here, so while we're here, nothing's going to happen to you. Before we go make any notifications, you'll have plenty of time to leave or do. Have plenty of time to leave or do. Have plenty of time to leave or do.
Run. But I don't this was totally not intentionally, not intentional. Is anybody else having to show up, or everybody's here that needs to be here?
My team's here that needs to be here. The medical examiners will show up when we call them, but we're not ready for them yet.
So, but do you guys tell his family today or after tomorrow?
We have to.
It's the law.
They're going to think that
no, Sarah, they're not going to tell them just for you to make you feel comfortable, you big weirdo.
Always have said that.
Sorry, I'm listening. I got to get my phone out.
I'm the blue-eyed white dragon. I'm the blue-eyed white dragon. That's what they call me. Because they don't want him with me. So he's basically just not really been around his family because he chooses me over them. Even after I have encouraged him numerous times to advance.
That's normal when someone passes away. Lividity turn.
As soon as the heart stops beating, the blood starts to settle to the lowest points of the body, and then it becomes very pronounced. So that's just called a self-inflicted. It happens every night.
I'm really scared. I want you guys to know that.
Look around. You have all these deputies here, so while we're here, nothing's going to happen to you. Before we go and make any notifications, you'll have plenty of time to leave or do it.
Run.
Whatever you need to do. To leave or do it.
Run.
Whatever you need to do. To leave or do it.
Run.
Whatever you need to do.
Today's date is February 26, 2020. The time now is approximately 11:45 hours. This is in reference to Orange County case number 20-017904. I'm currently located at in Winter Park, Florida, 32792 at the Tealwood Park Apartments complex in the front office. Also with me is, can you state your name, sir?
Abraham Moreno.
Okay, and your date of birth? So with me is my partner, Detective Scott Lullen with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Okay, Abram, prior to us going on recording, I was informed by Melissa, who's the property manager, that you knew George Torres.
Correct.
And you were explaining that you knew him from Philadelphia when he was smaller.
Yes.
And then now you, I guess,
Reconnected.
reconnected
When I started working here in October.
in October of last year?
Of last year.
Of 19. Okay. So you said that you last saw him, you said it was last Tuesday?
Last Thursday.
Last Thursday. Okay, thank you. So last Thursday was the 20th?
Correct.
Sound about right? Okay. Now, what can you tell me about George and Sarah's relationship?
They had an off rocky relationship, which was physical on occasions. I'm aware of the fact that George had a probation officer. He was in anger management. And again, they had their good times, their bad times. Sometimes he would instigate the situations. Majority of the times, Sarah Boone instigated the situations. And she ended up with bruises. But that's more of him like kind of pushing her off of himself.
Okay. And that's what he told you?
Yes.
Okay.
And she verified it with you.
Sarah verified with you?
Yes.
Okay. Did they both drink a lot?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
In excess.
What?
In excess. They didn't drink to drink. They drank to sunrise to sunset, all the time in between.
Okay. Did you ever see them physically fight?
No.
Okay. Have you ever seen them physically argue?
I've seen them argue,
Argue. Okay.
but no physical contact.
Right. Has George confided in you about Sarah? About anything she's, I know you said that they both, sometimes
He notified me, he had told me on a couple of occasions where she called the police on him and had him put out.
Okay.
A couple of times he ended up getting arrested over it. And that she was the reason why he was taking the anger management courses and stuff. Because a couple of weeks ago, he was still working at the hardware store on the corner until they closed.
Right.
And that's where me and him would have more of our conversations than anything else. I'm going there to get stuff. Now it's just me and him, one-on-one.
Right.
She's not there to create this situation.
Okay. And so, just correct me if I'm wrong, you said that sometimes he would instigate it and sometimes she would instigate it?
Yes.
Okay. And he admitted to that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know when, did he confide in you about like their last physical argument or fight?
The last physical fight that they had, she mentioned it to me, Melissa, and Mr. G when she got arrested. When we were all standing outside, and she said, I want to speak to you. And G walked over to an officer and said, is it okay if she speaks to us? They said we would prefer not, but that is her choice.
Right.
We did not ask her any questions. She had told us that a couple of days ago they got into a fight where he grabbed her by her hair and dragged her down the steps.
Okay.
And that would probably be a day or two before the situation happened.
Before the situation?
With the suitcase.
Okay, so when did you talk? When was that?
She was talking to us outside Monday afternoon.
Oh, Monday. Okay. I thought you said the last time she got arrested, and I'm like.
No, when she got arrested, when everybody was at her door.
When we were investigating.
When you were doing during your investigation, because you was typing in the car.
Okay.
She was talking to us outside. There was a young officer at the door who heard the conversation.
Okay.
Because he was only 20 feet away.
Okay. So she told you what again? One more time.
That they had gotten into a fight. He grabbed her by the hair and dragged her down the steps.
2 days prior?
Probably about 2 days prior to that situation.
So that would be Saturday.
Yeah, over the weekend, yes.
Over the weekend.
Whatever took place over the weekend, Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
Then she told us that they were playing hide and seek. He went in the suitcase. She zipped it up. And then she went upstairs and passed out.
Did he ever confide in you, like, what he did, like, for fun? Besides, like, the drinking, like, is there other activities that he did? Did he ever tell you, like, oh, I'm trying to get into this?
They actually used to do a whole lot of arts and crafts inside of the townhome. And they did a lot of it with her son. Kind of.
Okay, you guys.
There was a perfect relationship, but they tried.
Sort of figured it out. So I've been told that Sarah Boone has not received her clothing in time. So there's been a delay. The judge left the bench and said, let me know when she gets her clothing. And that's what the delay is. So Sarah is waiting on her clothing because, you know, she had her glamour. She got her glamour permission. So that's what we're waiting on Sarah Boone to get dressed.
I guess in their own way.
Right. Okay. Is there anything else that he would tell you about him and Sarah's relationship that you think is important for us to know?
I think you actually know it all. They just had a very rocky physical relationship. On and off.
Okay. Did you ever see marks or bruises on him?
Yes.
Okay. Like what?
Scratches on the neck.
Scratches.
As I said, with her attacking him, he's kind of just
trying to stop.
Shove her back, but because she's such light skin, as soon as he touched her, instant bruises all across the arms and things of that nature.
Right. Okay. So I don't know if you've noticed or if it's been before, but the door, there's like a bunch of markings on the door. Have you ever noticed that or no?
On which door?
Their door.
Their front door, the very front metal door.
I haven't looked at it.
Okay.
But I know if I was to look at it, I could probably tell you what it was.
Okay. We're just curious if, like, since you had been working here, if you noticed it or saw it.
No, because they had keys. Now, they probably slamming doors back and forth and had an argument. I know of one where her ex-husband showed up. Mm-hmm. But that would probably be around November.
Okay. Anything?
Has he ever talked to you about any damage inside the apartment that he needed help fixing that you couldn't do?
No.
Have you ever really been inside their apartment?
Yes, I have. I did basic work orders, like change the verticals.
Yeah. Did you see any damage that looks like it was caused by either one of them?
Not that I can say, it just looks like normal wear and tear of a unit.
Well, I noticed on the first floor there's a half bath there.
Yes.
There's like two or three patches on that door. Do you know anything about those patches?
No, not the door. I did the patchwork in the ceiling, and that was due to a leaking air conditioner. Yeah. The door would have to have been super recent.
Yeah. I did hear about that.
Yeah. All right.
And you said has Sarah confided in you where George is not there? Or is it like?
The most she ever did was, we're fighting, we're arguing, he's always arguing with his ex-wife over the phone. I just tried not to get in the middle of that.
Did you know?
Just breaking in here to give you guys an update for those that are just joining us. Sarah Boone didn't get her clothing on time, so she is getting dressed. The judge has left the stand, and he said, let me know when she's dressed, and we're just waiting for Sarah Boone.
Was ex-wife, or was that prior?
Oh, that's well after. Because I lived down the street from George.
For how long?
93 to 2005.
So he would have started at, you said 14?
Yeah, around
So he would have been into his mid-20s.
Yeah, but it was me and my wife. And trust me, she works for DHS.
Okay.
She's a child service kid.
Right.
My son is a Philadelphia police officer. Different circles altogether.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. How well did you know him up there?
Oh, not like I said, to me, he was just a teenager running around with the other kids. And I was
See him at the corner store and stuff like that?
Yeah, stuff like that. Well, literally on the block, because I lived here. My brother-in-law across the street was my ex-wife's aunt, and then George.
Okay.
So it was, and then her mother lived across the street. So restaurants, so no matter where you go, everybody sees each other on corners and stuff.
Now down here, was it just coincidence you got the job here, was walking through and ran into him and went,
Yep.
holy cow. Okay.
That's literally what happened. It was like, whoa, real small world.
Do you ever go out and hang out with them, have dinner, go drinking? The only time we've ever seen them is when you're at work, either here on this property
or when I would go to the hardware store. That's it.
Okay. Did you ever stay after and hang out in the apartment with them?
Nope. I don't hang out with residents.
Good.
Okay. Can you raise your right hand? Do you promise and swear everything we've talked
I
about has
confirm.
been true and accurate to
I
the
will
best of your?
confirm. I do not swear.
You confirm that everything we've talked about has been true and accurate to the
Yes.
best of your knowledge? Okay. This ends the recording 11:57 hours. Today's date is February 24th, 2020. The time now is approximately 15:25 hours. This is in reference to Orange County case number 20-017904. I am currently located in my unmarked agency vehicle in front of 4748 France Lane, apartment number 3 in Winter Park, Florida. Also in the car with me is my partner.
Scott Lowen, Detective of the Orange County Sheriff's Office.
And your name, sir?
Brian, 75.
Okay. So, Brian, to my understanding, you were called over here. So can you just take me back to this morning and your involvement with Sarah, which is your ex-wife?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes. We've been divorced about a year and a half.
Okay.
Well, I started calling her probably 10:30 or so. It's her day to pick up the kid, but it doesn't always happen. It's 1 or 2 days a week, maybe she gets them.
Out of the 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And what do you, like every other day you're supposed to?
Well, we're supposed to. She's Monday, Tuesday, I'm Wednesday, Thursday, and then we alternate Friday through Sunday is how it's supposed to. I was actually, my lawyer back a couple of weeks ago, I was looking to get it changed because she can never stick to it. There's always some reason why. So it's general that I start calling her around then to find out if she's actually going to get him, even though yesterday she told me she would. So I started calling her about 10:30. Never got any answer until so I finally got a hold of her at
I'm just switching us over to when Sarah Boone testified. We're still waiting. Sarah Boone.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Could you state your full name for the record and spell it for us?
It's Chelsea Council. CHELSEY. Last name is KOEPSELL.
Thank you. Counselor, you may in court.
Thank you. Where do you work, ma'am?
The Orange County Sheriff's Office.
And what do you do for Sheriff Mina?
I am a homicide detective.
How long have you been a homicide detective?
Over 6 years.
And what's your total experience with the Orange County Sheriff's Office in terms of years?
I didn't
know they did. 12 years.
Any prior law enforcement experience prior to joining the Sheriff's Office? And in the homicide unit, how is it that you get notified that you shall be the lead investigator on a case?
So for this case specifically, my team was on call that week for homicides. And so the deputy on the scene notify the call center to notify the on-call homicide.
All right. And is it fair to say that you guys have 3 teams of 4?
Yes.
And each of the third weeks you will be on call?
Yes.
And then through some other random distribution, it's determined who of the 4 will be the lead?
Correct.
And it was your turn to investigate the death of Jorge Torres?
Yes.
And you were notified of this on February 24th of 2020 in the afternoon?
Yes.
About what time were you notified?
I would have to look at the CAD sheet to recall directly, but I would assume within 30 minutes to an hour of deputies being on scene.
All right, and do you go to the scene first or do you do anything else?
For this particular incident, I got my partner, Detective Scott Lowen, and we headed out to the scene.
All right, and when you got to the scene, what did you do?
I met with the deputies there, and they kind of just briefed me on what was going on and what they responded to.
Did you do a walkthrough of the scene?
I did, yes.
And then was a search warrant drafted for the residence?
Yes.
And later executed?
Correct.
Did you have any contact with somebody identified to you as Sarah Boone on the scene?
Yes.
Do you see Sarah Boone in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you point out where she is and what she's wearing?
She's up here on my left, and she's wearing blue.
May the record reflect she's identified the defendant.
Record will so reflect.
When did you first have contact with her?
If I'm not mistaken, she was outside of the apartment when I got there. So once I spoke with deputies, I then went and introduced myself to her.
All right, and did you ask her any questions at this time as you guys are standing outside of the residence?
Not like detailed questions about like what happened, because I already was told by deputies what she had told them. So it's more just to like introduce myself and to let her know, you know, we're doing a search warrant and the procedures of how we do things.
And when you respond to a scene, do you respond in plain clothes?
I do, yeah, like business professional.
Like what you're wearing?
Yes.
And when you made contact with her outside of her residence for this first contact, were you alone or was your partner Scott Lowen with you?
I believe Scott was with me.
And was he also similarly dressed in business casual?
Yes.
All right. And so how long was this initial interaction with Ms. Boone?
Not long. Maybe a couple minutes to a few minutes.
Okay. And this was out on the sidewalk in front of her home?
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, she was at a neighbor's residence, like sitting out on their like front porch area.
Do you recall what you asked her in this initial contact?
Do I recall what?
You asked her?
No.
Okay. So it was just a couple of minutes that you were there with her?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what do you do after your first contact with her?
So once I did my walkthrough, we decided to go with a search warrant for the scene. So that was written by somebody else. And then once that was executed, we went in there further with CSIs. And then we talked to Brian Boone, which was the ex-husband. And then I believe we then sat Sarah into our unmarked vehicle and had a conversation with her.
Was that conversation in the unmarked vehicle recorded?
Yes, audio recorded.
And can you describe this unmarked vehicle for the court?
At the time, I was in a unmarked Pathfinder, so it was like gray in color. Didn't look like it didn't say like law enforcement or police or anything on the exterior. And there were lights like inside.
Where did everybody sit in this Pathfinder?
I sat in the driver's seat. Sarah sat in the front passenger seat, and Detective Scott Lowen sat in the back seat.
Did you have any conversation with her about the facts of the case or your investigation that wasn't recorded inside the car?
No.
And that was all recorded and turned over to the state attorney's office?
Yes.
And you announced the date and time of the start of this interview on that recording, did you not?
Correct.
Okay. Is it fair to say that it had been about 3 or 4 hours since the initial call out for 911?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, because I believe we started interviewing her right before 5 p.m.
And is there any particular reason for executing the search warrant and speaking to another witness or witnesses prior to interviewing Ms. Boone?
Just based off the situation, what was happening.
Okay. Is it in any way unusual to gather evidence before talking to the last person to see a decedent alive?
No.
Okay. At some point during this day, which was February 24th of 2020, was her cellular phone device collected?
It was.
And when was that?
That same day.
I mean, when time-wise and in relation to talking to her?
Oh, well, I noticed the phone was in the kitchen area, but I didn't touch anything until CSI's documented everything, photographs. And, so I don't think I really touched it until after I had talked to her about going through it.
All right. And ultimately, was she placed under arrest on February 24th, 2020?
No.
After she got out of her car, was she free to remain on the scene or free to leave?
Yeah. Not go back in her house.
Prior to that, had she been detained and requested not to leave the scene?
One more time?
Prior to your interview with her in the car, had she been asked or ordered to stay on the scene?
Not by me.
Okay. February 25th, was there a second interview conducted with you and Detective Lowen with Ms. Boone?
Yes.
Prior to this interview, had her phone been extracted by any member of the digital forensics team at the sheriff's office?
Yes, it had.
All right, and had you reviewed some of the evidence on there?
Yes.
You had requested that Ms. Boone come down to the sheriff's office rather than you returning to the scene?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Controlled setting for law enforcement. We were able to audio and video record at the sheriff's office, and she had mentioned that she might not be staying at her apartment, and so I didn't want to go to the ex-husband's residence where her potential child was, so I just felt it was a more controlled setting at the sheriff's office.
All right. And when Ms. Boone arrives at the sheriff's office, who goes down to greet her and where?
It was not me. But she would have gone in through, we have two entryways. So either on the record side or on the opposite side. And she would have had to go up to a window and request that she was there to meet with me. They would call me. I would tell them yes, sign her in. And then if I'm not mistaken, I believe Detective Lowen went down and got her.
All right, so you're describing two separate entrances that members of the public can come and go through?
Yes.
As opposed to separate entrances that might be in the back of your building where people are not free to come in and out of without a swipe card?
Yeah, the public doesn't have access.
All right. Now, in relationship to those two entrances, which I assume are on the first floor of the building, is that a safe assumption?
Yes.
Where are the CID or the investigation division's interview rooms?
They are located upstairs.
All right. And is she allowed to just walk up to the second floor interview room, or does she have to be with an employee of the sheriff's office?
She would have to be with an employee of the sheriff's office.
And your testimony is it wasn't you?
But I don't believe so, no.
Now tell us about these interview rooms.
We have 4 interview rooms that are audio and video recorded.
Okay. And they have, you said they're video recorded. Was the interview with Ms. Boone video recorded by the sheriff's office equipment?
Yes.
Was there any conversation about the case or the investigation with her that did not occur inside that room with the recording going?
No.
Okay. I don't have other questions of this witness.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Yes. Detective, I'm James Owens. I met you outside just a few minutes ago, and you know I represent Sarah Boone. Detective, have you had a chance to review any paperwork related to this case prior to this hearing?
I have looked at my investigative report, and I have looked at some policies, but they were from current.
Have you had a chance to view Deputy Kayla Rodriguez's body cam video prior to today?
I've seen it. I have not seen it recently.
Have you had a chance to review and listen to the audio interrogation that was in the unmarked vehicle that you did of Sarah Boone on the day in question?
Yes, I have reviewed that.
And have you had a chance to review the approximate 2-hour interrogation video at the Orange County Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that prior to you asking Sarah Boone to enter this unmarked vehicle for this interrogation with Detective Lowen, that you did a preliminary investigation as to whether or not this was potentially a homicide?
Yes.
And you would have viewed the scene inside the apartment?
Yes.
And you would have spoken to Deputy Rodriguez about what she knew about the situation?
Yes.
And you would speak to Deputy Rodriguez about what Sarah Boone had said had happened?
Correct.
And did you talk to any other people there about the situation prior to speaking with Sarah Boone about the facts in this case?
Just Brian Boone.
Okay. And was that conversation recorded with Brian Boone?
Yes.
And would that have been in your squad car?
Potentially. I didn't listen to that interview. I don't know if we interviewed him outside or in my car.
Was he Mirandized?
No.
Okay. So although he was at the scene when y'all showed up, he was not considered a suspect or person of interest?
No.
At some point, did you determine that Sarah Boone was a suspect or person of interest?
At some point, yes.
Tell us when that happened.
The next day.
Okay, so at the time of this event, your initial appearance there at the scene, which I understand you must have stayed 4 or 5 hours?
Probably.
Okay. At that point, at no time did y'all consider Sarah Boone a suspect?
Well, it's difficult the way you're asking, but she was the only one there. She's claiming that no one else was there. So what I was being told would mean that she was the only person of interest in that situation. But due to not having the autopsy results, we just interviewed her initially, got her initial statement, and then once the autopsy was completed the next morning, was when I already knew I was going to meet with her again to discuss the autopsy results. So then we had another interview with her where she was Mirandized and she went to jail later that evening.
And while you were there on scene, I know at some point you saw her phone on the kitchen counter?
I did.
All right.
Or maybe on the microwave. It was somewhere in the kitchen.
All right. And at some point you went to Sarah Boone and you asked her for the password to open the phone.
We asked to go through her phone.
Did you ask Sarah Boone, can I have the password so I can go through your phone?
Yes, after she signed the consent form.
Okay, so not before? You didn't ask her before you asked her to sign the consent form? Sarah, give me the password to your phone.
Not that I recall, but I would normally have her sign the consent form first for her consenting to go into the phone and then gather the passcode or whatever it is.
Well, how would that have even come about then? I mean, how would you have approached her about signing the waiver to consent to searching the phone?
She called 911. So I told her that we needed to corroborate her story as to what occurred.
Okay.
And so to do that, I wanted to go through her phone.
All right, do you know about what time she signed the consent?
No, I don't think it requires a time on there. But it was when we were on the scene initially.
Was it prior to her interrogation in the unmarked vehicle?
Yes.
And after she signed the consent, did your testimony is you asked her for her password and she gave you her password after signing the consent to search the phone?
Yes, I didn't touch the phone until my digital came.
All right. You're talking about the digital investigator? And they have the ability to open up the phone and search the phone?
With or without a password, yes.
But y'all utilized the password that Sarah had given, had you not?
I believe so.
Okay. And do you know how long it took for the digital investigator to show up after you arrived?
Oh yeah, she didn't come until later. I believe around 7 p.m.
Okay.
That's when in the CAD sheet says she arrived.
And you know there were two videos on Sarah's phone.
After I spoke to Sarah.
I'm sorry?
After I spoke to Sarah?
All right, so what I'm gathering from what you just said is at some point you asked or directed Sarah Boone into your unmarked vehicle where you interrogated her. Is that correct?
Where we completed an interview, yes, sir.
And your testimony is that you did not view the videos that were found on her phone, and I'm referring to the 2-minute video of George in the suitcase, and then some time went by, and I think there was about a 22-second video of George in the suitcase that Sarah took of him in the suitcase. Your testimony is prior to you putting her in your unmarked vehicle that you were not aware of those 2 videos.
That's correct, sir. I did not go through her phone until digital forensics came out and then went into her phone. And then she brought me over to her van to tell me about the videos and what she found.
All right, so your testimony is at the time that Sarah Boone was interviewed in your vehicle, that the forensic phone investigator had not arrived.
Correct.
Okay. Did you tell Sarah, I know we saw the audio once you get in the car, but did you talk to Sarah before y'all got in the vehicle?
Of course.
And did you tell Sarah that y'all wanted to talk to her and this was routine protocol?
Yeah, but I wanted to have a conversation with her, and once I had walked through the house and saw what I was working with, we would have that conversation.
Did you tell her that interviewing her in the squad car was routine protocol to your investigation?
I don't recall if I specifically said that, sir. This was 2020.
Okay. If she recalled that, would you dispute it?
Objection, improper question. Sustained.
Your testimony is you don't remember saying that.
I don't remember specifically saying what. One more time. What is it that she claimed that I said?
Routine protocol.
I would not interview her not in my unmarked car. So my routine protocol, sure, I would do that. I would interview her in a spot where no one can hear us.
And you would explain to her why you were doing that, wouldn't you?
Would I explain to her why we were sitting in my car?
Yeah.
Standing?
Yes.
No.
Well, you would have to tell her something.
I said, yes, we're going to go have a conversation in my car now.
Okay. And did she have any questions that you recall about what's this about? And you could have potentially explained to her that this is routine?
It was all explained on the audio recording.
Okay. But you agree you had a conversation with her before you got into the car with her?
Yes, I definitely directed her to get into the front passenger seat when we were going to talk in the vehicle, yes.
Okay. And you don't recall whether or not you said this is routine protocol to come into the car and talk to me?
Those words specifically, no.
Okay.
But I would have talked to her in the vehicle regardless. I would not have talked to her outside of my vehicle.
All right. Now, once inside the squad car, you were there with the other detective, Detective Lowen. Okay. And you read her the Miranda rights card, correct?
Yes, from my card, yes.
Do you agree that you didn't ask her the last question, number 9?
Objection, relevance.
Response.
Judge, we're here on a hearing on the issue about the interrogation.
But the case law that you provided to me, none of it stands for the proposition. Miranda identifies the 4 things that need to be addressed. Not one of the cases talks about that issue of reading that language at the bottom of the card that is in the motion upon information and belief. This is what it says. So how's it relevant for the purposes of today?
Well, it's relevant because this is the policy of her department.
But
Judge,
what does the policy have? But now we're getting away from the card to now the policy. There's nothing about the policy right now. The question is about what the card says.
Okay. The card is the policy.
Just breaking in here to let everybody know that we are still waiting on Sarah Boone to get dressed. Her clothing apparently arrived late. And so I don't know, how long does it take you to get dressed? Isn't she like just dressing in the like wherever they hold you in court, in the holding area? My gosh. I'm expecting Sarah Boone needs to walk out on stage with her hair better be perfectly coiffed, no bedhead. Right, Junie? And none of that Jolly Rancher stuff that will make her look clownish. And she better be wearing a skirt because she fought hard to get that ankle stuff off of her. But, I suspect she's going to look exactly like she normally does, but only she'll be like in a button-up shirt and some pants. That's what I'm predicting, but I'm hoping for the latter. So, but we're waiting for Sarah to come in. I've got a bunch of other sites open, and I'm keeping an eye out. Court TV and Law & Crime, they don't even have a feed up yet. So we're waiting on Sarah Boone. Isn't this perfect? And we've got a hurricane screaming at us. And yeah, this is going to be fun. And I think it's perfection. And it's just right. I would expect nothing less for Sarah Boone. Elmac says, will jury selection be live today? It is supposed to be. We're waiting. That's what I have been told, but we are still at the royal coronation, cousin. I know. Like, that's what Sarah Boone thinks. So, and Sarah Boone's farms and the Boone's farm brain and the Blaine Boone brain and the Suitcase Sarah. She's got a lot of nicknames. Which one is your favorite nickname for her? Sarah Boone's farm, Blaine Boone, or Suitcase Sarah? Is there any other ones? Those are the three that I've heard mostly. Right now, I'm really loving Boone's farm, Sarah Boone's farm. That's my favorite right now. But I used to love, Suitcase Sarah. Blaine Boone is like only funny because she coined herself that. But yeah. So yes, jury selection is supposed to be live today. We're waiting on the court feed, and we're waiting on Sarah Boone to get dressed. So I've got a bunch of sites open, watching. While we're waiting, we're watching Sarah Boone when she got on the stand for her last motions hearing. But this is the detective who was pregnant when she interviewed Sarah. And I mean, like, she understood the assignment. Look at her. She looks perfect for court. Tara Normal. I want to always call you Tara Abnormal, but Tara Normal. Thank you so much for gifting a membership, and congratulations to whoever got it. She loves rats. Greetings back from Germany. Yes, Germany's sick of her too. In her mind, she thinks everybody in every country is like just loves her. But actually, she doesn't understand that we love to hate her. We've got so much drama and stress in our lives that looking at Sarah Boone, we can project onto her and be like, you suck, Sarah Boone. You suck. Zipping up a person in a suitcase and letting them suffocate. You suck, Sarah Boone. That's exactly how I feel. So. But while we're waiting, we're watching this. And be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Helps me dance out into the algorithm. Party out there. Oh, Ireland is sick of her too, Rosin. Am I saying your name right? Is it? Well, if I would look at your little dashes up there. Rosine? Is Ireland sick of her too? I've got a little June bug in the background that he's a green cheek conure. During the day when I do my lives, there's nothing I can do. He's a free-flying little Roisin. Oh, okay. Thank you, Roisin. That's a beautiful name. I got a little free-flying bird here. You're welcome. Little Rose. Oh, that's so pretty. Rose is one of my favorite names. Do you like it too, Junie? Do you approve? Junie approves too. And he says that the green cheek conures are sick of Sarah Boone too. The whole lot of them. Just sick of her. All right, so I'm going to start playing this again while we wait. I do have some other sites open, and I have an eagle eye waiting for the Sarah Boone's Farm case to finally start. I have a few of the channels open. I have Law and Crime and Court TV open right now. I always pick the one that, and there's a channel 13, I think that, or a local Florida station goes in and airs too. And then I just kind of pick the one that I like best. And sometimes I hop back and forth because some of them have a static view and some of them move back and forth. And I don't know, just whichever has the best sound. So I've got them all open. I don't have any type of translator app on my StreamYard LMAC. So unless you're talking to one of the, like if you're talking to the person from Germany or Ireland, please, I'm sorry for butting in, but I don't know what you're saying. You like hearing the baby bird? You have 7 birds. Oh, I like birds too. Yeah, it's like either it can be very either annoying or very comforting. I get it. When he screeches, I don't like it. He screeches. Oh, you were talking to your fellow Irish woman. I thought that this is what was happening after I said it out loud, and then I'm like, Amy, you don't need to butt into every conversation. But yeah, when he screeches, I don't like it, and he knows I don't like it, and he'll say, "Stop it, because that's what he'd say. When I'm like, Junie, stop it. Okay, enough. Right, enough of my talking. Let's get back into it. I do have an eagle eye open for you guys, though.
And the policy is the policy. They're intertwined. They refer to each other. Our argument is that she did not waive her rights.
But
remain silent.
That's a different issue than what is on the card.
I understand, but it's a coercive question about her not doing that, which was the policy of her sheriff's department. She elected not to do that. She wanted a statement from Sarah Boone at the scene. She wanted a statement from Sarah Boone at the sheriff's department. She elected not to answer a question that the policy says read verbatim from the card. Why did she not want it? Our position is it was an attempt by this detective to coerce Sarah Boone into talking.
On February 24th or on February 25th?
On February 25th.
Elmac, I think I agree with you 100%. I think he's going to be very problematic, and I don't think he knows. I am very concerned that he's not really that great of a lawyer because he didn't know how to do stuff. And yeah, I don't know. And it is like, but he flies himself out here and he's doing it pro bono. I don't know. I think he's really hoping to generate some business for himself.
This interrogation ties into that one. She used the same routine protocol that she used for the second one. The first one, she claims that my client wasn't a suspect, wasn't a person of interest. At the sheriff's department, I'm sure, I haven't talked to her about it yet, but I'm sure she's going to say, yes, she was a suspect. Yes, she was a person of interest. Yes, we had probable cause to arrest her prior to her giving a statement. But what she said in terms of routine protocol the day before was what Sarah was relying on when she said routine protocol, when she questioned the detective about routine protocol the very next day in the interrogation room. And for her not to give that question goes to the totality of the circumstances as to whether or not my client, Sarah Boone, actually waived her right to remain silent. If she understood her rights and then she consciously and freely waived her rights. She was not asked that question. She was not asked that question in the car. She was not asked that question. But that totality of the circumstances comes into play for the court to consider, this court or an appellate court to consider as to whether or not that statement should be suppressed.
Any other response?
Judge, just like it's irrelevant what the sheriff's office policy is compared to what the Florida case law says about our right to not be compelled to give statements under our Constitution in the state of Florida, or the United States and federal case law and the state case law interpreting the United States Constitution, the policy is irrelevant. and the officer's subjective intent is completely irrelevant in a motion to suppress, just like it would be in a traffic stop under Wren versus United States. What matters is objectively what was spoken to the defendant. And I would ask that we honor the local administrative order and call people by their surnames and not their first names. What matters is that the defendant was read what the case law requires. Anything about the policy, anything about the officer's subjective intent is completely outside of all the case law submitted by both the parties.
Last bite at the apple.
I'm sorry?
Last bite at the apple. Last bite at the apple. Any other argument?
Judge, we're talking about the totality of the circumstances, whether it was coerced or not. You can take any technique or a non-technique, something that you use or don't use, to establish whether or not it was coerced or not. The fact that she didn't read, do you understand the rights? Do you understand these rights, which is the form, the Miranda warning form? Do you wish to talk to us at any time? That's on the waiver affidavit. On the other form, which is the policies form, it says, do you understand these rights? And then the question number 9, do you wish to talk to us at this time?
Objections overruled.
Thank you. And you're referring about surname. What do you mean by that? You mean?
That means last name.
Okay, what did I say? This
You
detective?
keep calling the defendant by her first name.
All right. Can I say Sarah Boone?
Either Miss Boone or Sarah Boone. That's fine.
Okay.
You may proceed.
Have you had a chance to look at the standardized Miranda card issued by the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
Do you agree that you did not read the 9 questions to her in your squad car?
All 9 questions?
Correct.
No, I did not read all 9 questions.
Do you know how many questions you did read to her?
8.
Okay. And the question you omitted is question number 9. Is that correct?
Yes, it's actually not on my Miranda card, but continue.
I'm sorry?
It's not on my Miranda card that I read from. But you can continue.
What do you mean by that? It was the card that you read, it was not on the card?
Number 9, no, not on my card. We have multiple Miranda cards at the sheriff's office, but yes, that is the policy. In reference to the policy, yes, that is the policy.
Well, somebody dropped the ball somewhere. Did you fail to get?
Proper question.
Sustained.
Did you fail to get the most updated card, or how did that happen, that the 9th question was not on your Miranda rights card?
I've had that card since I started being a detective in sex crimes in 2013.
Have you become aware, as it relates to following this motion,
I've become more aware, yes, that there's that card.
have you gone and gotten the updated card?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
When y'all took her phone, Detective, did you tell Sarah Boone that you would be returning to her apartment the following afternoon to give her phone back?
No.
You did not tell her that?
No, I listened to all my interviews, everything that's been audio recorded. No, I did not tell her that. We had plans to meet at the sheriff's office.
Or tell me what you understood the conversation was as it relates to her getting her phone back.
I'm sure she asked when she'd be getting her phone back, and I didn't give her a detailed timeline. I said that, I don't even know if I told her that I decided to write a search warrant on it because I don't need to tell her that. It's evidence in a crime. I'm allowed to take it, and so I took it, and I wrote a search warrant for it.
Okay. But you don't recall ever having a discussion with Sarah Boone about when you were going to return her phone?
Specifically returning her phone, no.
Okay. Do you recall her calling you later that evening on your cell phone? From her husband's phone? You don't recall that conversation? She called you later that evening?
Do you have documentation of the phone call?
I have her testimony.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't recall the phone conversation.
Excuse me?
I do not recall the phone conversation.
You said that y'all had some discussions about Sarah Boone coming to the station. Was that talked about the day of this event or the next day with Sarah Boone?
It was talked about before I left the scene.
All right. And did you relate to Sarah Boone that she needed to come to the sheriff's department the next day to retrieve her phone?
I don't know if I specifically told her about retrieving her phone, but she knew that I was waiting to hear about the autopsy results and that I would probably have more questions.
All right, so you believe you told her that night, I need you to come back, maybe or maybe not about the phone, but I may have some more questions for you?
Something along those lines, yeah.
Okay. And when was it that you actually saw the two videos from Sarah's phone? Was it that evening after the interrogation in the squad car?
I've already answered, but yes, it was after the interview.
All right, and was it while you were on scene?
Correct.
Okay, and did you attempt to talk to Sarah again about that at that time? Okay. And so did you let your detective partner know about the videos on Sarah's phone?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
Did you let your partner know about that evidence? Okay. And did y'all discuss that issue?
Objection, relevance, work product.
Sustained.
At some point, y'all had to, were y'all working together or were you making all the calls or were y'all making joint decisions?
Objection, relevance, work product.
Sustained.
Ma'am?
There's no pending question.
Stop it right here for a moment and take us over to the governor of Florida is talking. I want to just see what he's going to say about all of the Milton stuff.
On that, we have 51 counties in Florida currently under a state of emergency. The executive order that I signed over the weekend also orders all disaster debris management sites and landfills to be open 24/7 in the lead up to Hurricane Milton. We had a lot of debris left from Hurricane Helene on Florida's Gulf Coast. That creates a huge hazard if you have a major hurricane hit in that area this week. So we've marshaled state assets to be able to help with that mission, and we're going to continue to do that until it's safe, until it's no longer safe to do so. So we do have a Category 4 hurricane. It is currently located 745 miles southwest of Tampa. It has not moved terribly quickly, but that obviously could change going forward. Storm surge watch has been issued for the Florida Gulf Coast from mainland Monroe County northward to the Suwannee River, the Dixie-Levy County line. 8 to 12 feet peak storm surge is potential for northern Pinellas all the way down to Charlotte, including in Tampa Bay. 5 to 10 feet peak storm surge is possible from Yankeetown southward to the Pasco-Pinellas County line and from Inglewood southward to Bonita Beach, including Charlotte Harbor. Hurricane watches have been issued for portions of west central Florida and Florida's Nature Coast. Tropical storm watches extend further south and north through southwest Florida and the Keys and along portions of the Florida Panhandle. Division of Emergency Management is busy facilitating hundreds of resource requests from communities as we prepare for the impacts. We've already sent major truckloads of food and water to Central Florida in preparation for points of distribution sites after the storm. We're also coordinating the deployment of more than 2,000 feet of flood protection systems and prioritizing critical infrastructure like hospitals, wastewater treatment facilities, and electrical infrastructure. We've deployed a flood barrier around a water pumping station in Bradenton, a fire station in Hillsborough, and more en route to the courthouse in Charlotte County, hospital in Kissimmee, master pump station in St. Pete, and a community resource center in Hernando County. We've also deployed generators to support special needs sheltering operations. And of course, Starlink internet, all counties have access to that, and we're deploying more as needed. More than 200 ambulances and more than 30 paratransits are in Central Florida footprint, ready to support first responder operations. And as I previously noted, we've ramped up our support of debris removal. That's a 24/7 round-the-clock mission. The state of Florida is amassing significant amount of fuel reserves ahead of Milton, and we're staging it to be utilized as needed. These quantities include 415,000 gallons of diesel, 389,000 gallons of gasoline, and an additional 1.5 million gallons of both diesel and gasoline are currently en route. I know there's different things that are being said, but all fuel continues to arrive at Florida
Crystal
ports.
River.
There's not been an interruption
If
of
you
that.
guys look
I
at
know
the
people
map,
are
they
going
talk
to
about
fill up their
Crystal
gas
River a
tanks,
lot.
which is a
That's
good thing.
where I am.
There's more lines than maybe that we're used to on some of these, but there has not been an interruption in fuel deliveries, and all the ports are checked in on that. Local officials and their vendors must continue debris removal efforts for those areas that are in the eye potential path
I'm
of
going
this
to pop us
storm.
back.
My
I just
executive order
wanted to
requires
know if he was
debris
saying
land.
anything good. He's just telling us the resources he's supposedly pumping over to us.
At this time, ma'am.
At some point, did you form an opinion as to whether
I
you...
also went over to the Orange County site to see if anything was happening, and they don't have much going on. It's just like Orange County Office of Emergency Management. They're opening their sandbag program, and there's been no evacuation or anything like that. So much to Sarah's unhappiness, I'm pretty sure today's going to go on.
Probable cause to arrest Sarah Boone?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
Winter Garden, yeah.
Yes, at some point I did.
Did you make that decision by yourself, or was it collectively made by others with the department?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained. You don't need to answer anything.
Detective, at what point did y'all, that next day, I think you had her coming in the afternoon?
I believe it was around 3 p.m.
Did y'all work on trying to get the search warrant for the phone?
I got the search warrant for the phone, and I believe I submitted it that evening. I would have to look at the phone.
Okay. Do you know what time the search warrant came back signed by the judge?
It's documented in my investigator report, but I don't know off the top of my
Okay. And would it be fair to say that you told Sarah to come in later that afternoon or the next day?
Yes.
Okay. And would it be fair to say that you worked on the case that entire day until Sarah Boone came in?
Yes, I attended an autopsy in the morning. That's why I asked her to come in at 3.
All right. And what time was the autopsy that morning?
It starts at 8, but I did probably get till 10. It takes quite a few hours.
Okay. And were you there alone with the medical examiner, or were there anybody else there?
I don't recall if Detective Lone was with me or not, but yes, of course, there's doctors there.
Okay. And so in terms of your determination as to whether or not Sarah Boone was a suspect, did she become a suspect after you watched the video, the 2 videos from her phone the day before the autopsy?
Objection, relevance. The custody is not disputed on the February 25th statement.
How's this relevant? If the issue is knowing and intelligent waiver, the sufficiency of Miranda and coercion, what does the formulation of probable cause have anything to do with anything?
Well, I wanted to bring out the fact that they had already made a decision before she came in for the interrogation on the 25th that they had probable cause to arrest her. So that if she, A, either didn't come in, they were going to go arrest her that day, or B, if she did come in and she exercised or invoked her rights to remain silent, that they were going to arrest her anyway. That they had already made a decision that she was the prime suspect. They had probable cause.
What does that have to do with any of the 3 issues that are raised in the motions?
It's whether or not she was in custodial interrogation, whether she was free to leave.
I don't know that that's being disputed by the state.
I think my response
That's my understanding. The state's
Okay.
not disputing that there was a custodial interrogation, which is why on February 25th, which is why Miranda was provided prior to that.
Judge, it was provided the day before, and she's just testified she was free to leave at any time.
Okay.
So the Miranda was given on 2 separate occasions. She wasn't in custodial interrogation. Detective, am I right? The day.
Well, hang on. Before we ask any questions, let's drill with the evidentiary objection first.
Okay.
The objection sustained.
Okay.
You may proceed.
All right. Ma'am, you would agree that when Sarah Boone arrived that afternoon for the interrogation, she was not free to leave?
She was not.
Excuse me?
She was not going to be free to leave. No.
Okay. And so if she would have remained silent and exercised or invoked her right to remain silent, she would have been arrested anyway. And that was based on your investigation that you had the night before at the scene. It was based on her statements that she had given you in the squad car. And it was based on the autopsy that was performed the next day that you were present for. And it was based on the 2 videotapes that you saw from Sarah's phone.
Objection relevance as to what the probable cause basis.
Sustained.
You had all that information before you began your interrogation on the 25th of Sarah Boone.
I had all what information?
All the information that I just related to you.
Okay, I have an update. It looks like they're not going to be streaming the jury selection, but they do think that they're going to have a jury seated sometime today or tomorrow. So they are doing jury selection. It's not going to be filmed, and they do think that they'll all be seated sometime today. So, drats. I've got to eat and do stuff. So, I think what I'm going to do is stop this stream. What I'll do is I'm going to keep this going. Will be, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to start this up again and think about what I want to do. I am going to type in the update, though, so that everybody knows into the ticker while I'm thinking about it.
Before you began your interrogation of Sarah Boone.
On February 25th?
That's correct.
Yes.
And you would agree that you wanted to speak to her on the 25th?
Objection relevance.
Overruled.
Yes.
Okay. And would it be fair to say that you wanted to get statements from her relating to the injuries to George Torres from the autopsy?
Objection relevance.
Overruled.
Yes, I wanted to have a follow-up conversation in reference to what she told me the night before and in reference to the injuries that she failed to mention.
And you also wanted to question her about the 2 videotapes that you had found on the phone?
Objection relevance.
Overruled.
Yes, I do
Okay.
want to show her the videos.
And you agree, in your opinion, the 2 videos and the autopsy were inconsistent with the story she had given you in the squad car the day before?
Objection relevance.
Overruled.
The videos, I'm sorry. Repeat your question one more time.
You would agree that the autopsy results and the videos that were extracted or taken from her phone recording George, those 2 pieces of evidence from your investigation were inconsistent with the statement that she had given the day before in your squad car?
Same objection to the record.
Overruled.
Yes.
And I believe that's ultimately the reason you arrested her, because of her inconsistencies.
Objection irrelevant.
Sustained.
Now, you said you had
I found a place that's feeding us information. So let me give you what they're saying. So they're in the jury. There's somebody feeding information out to us. They're in there, and the judge says that he thinks that they'll be able to do jury selection today, but Sarah's lawyer says, no, I think we're not going to be able to do it till Wednesday. So that's what's being said in the courtroom right now. I really wish I was able to go to this and report from it for you guys, but oh well, I can't. So I'm here doing it here. So, and I'm really hoping I keep my internet, right? So that's what's happening. The Sarah's lawyer is like trying to buy more time until tomorrow, probably thinking that the hurricane's going to come and they're going to shut down court tomorrow, and then he'll have all this extra time. Anyway, that's what's happening in the court right now.
A chance to review the interrogation video at the Orange County Jail on February 25th of 2020.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office.
The Orange County Sheriff's Department. And also, I believe the state attorney had it transcribed. Have you had a chance to read the transcript?
I have not read the transcription. I listened to
your
watched the
word.
video with audio.
Okay. Have you had a chance to look at my motion where the question and answers are typed out?
I
least-
got this sponsorship of meat, and I haven't done the sponsorship yet, and it's just full of the meat they sent me. So I really hope I don't lose power.
It's the first minute or so.
No, I've not looked at your motion.
Okay. Do you recall you saying to her, I'm going to have you sit in the green chair?
Objection. Best evidence is the recording.
He's right.
Okay.
Objection sustained.
Okay. Do you agree? Prior to reading Miranda, that you mentioned to her that you had received his autopsy and that you were going to read her rights again, but that we had to talk about that, referring to the autopsy?
Objection. Best evidence.
Sustained.
Do you recall making some comments to her prior to reading her the rights?
Objection. Best evidence.
Overruled.
I have a suspicion that it's not going to happen today. I just have that suspicion.
Is it the policy of the Orange County Sheriff's Department to make any statements to them about the interrogation prior to reading Miranda?
Overruled.
One more time.
Okay, so I'm just going to call it, and
I assume that's not the first
eye
time.
on it. And if I see that they're back in, I will keep all of these sites up. I will bring us live right away. I'll create another live, get it ready to go. You can click on the notify me, and yeah, we'll be good to go. Be sure to give this live a thumbs up for me, and check to see if you're subscribed. If you're not, it's free and it's very easy to subscribe. And if you don't like me, it's very easy to unsubscribe, but I don't think you're going to do that. So anyway, anything you do for me, it's always appreciated. Thanks everyone for stopping by and chatting with me while we're waiting. And, hopefully I'll see you guys this afternoon. If not, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. And hopefully I'll see you Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, or Thursday, Friday in the rest of this trial, and that the Hurricane Milton doesn't hit me. So there's a lot of hopefuls there. Okay, guys, if nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I'm telling you this. I love you guys so, so much. And I'll see you next time. I've got to get my closing queued up too. So let's prolong this, even if nobody's told you this. Just kidding. I'm in a weird mood lately. I am starting to shed a lot of my past grief and shame and sorrow, and I'm a weird girl. I've suppressed my weirdness because I don't know. I've come from a weird family and I am what I am. And I'm going to start letting my freak flag fly. And I am who I am. But yeah, I'm in a weird mood lately. So if nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I'm telling you this. I love you guys so, so much. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Hi, guys. Welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy.
Carefully strumming this old guitar, words rolling out into the fire. Never ask why my heart burned blue. Here in the haze where you inspire me. Here in the darkness I hear my cue. Time to find some solitude. Here where my soul bleeds openly, deep in the heart of sin and you. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you. Here in the blue, I'm dancing with you tonight, and it feels fine. Carefully strumming this old guitar again.